My sister got my husband pregnant with the idea that I'd just absorb it like I'd absorbed everything else. So I gave them the one thing they never saw coming. Nothing at all. No tears, no confrontation. Just a silence so total it ate them alive. I'm a structural engineer. I spend my days calculating load limits. The exact point where a beam stops holding weight and starts failing. You'd think that kind of precision would prepare a person for anything. It doesn't prepare you for your own kitchen. It was a Thursday in late October, the kind of gray Calgary evening, where the sky just gives up before 5 o'clock. I'd come home from a site inspection, snow already dusting the windshield, thinking about whether we had enough propane for the weekend. Everything about that drive home was so ordinary. It almost hurts to remember it now. Derek was at the table when I walked in. Not on his laptop, not half watching the news like usual. Just sitting there with his hands flat on the wood like he was bracing for something. His face had that scrubbed raw look people get after they've been crying somewhere private. "We need to talk," he said. I set my keys in the bowl by the door, hung up my coat, took my time, because some part of me already knew that whatever came next would split my life into a before and an after, and I wanted 30 more seconds in the before. "I'm having a baby," he said. For one stupid second my brain did the math wrong, ran straight to the wrong conclusion, started composing the wrong sentence. We'd talked about trying again after the miscarriage. I opened my mouth to ask how far along, whether he wanted to call the clinic in the morning. It's Ren's. My sister's name landing in that sentence didn't compute right away. Movies always make it dramatic. The music swells, the room tilts. It isn't like that, it's quiet. It's your brain trying to file something into a folder that doesn't exist yet. I didn't say anything. He kept going, like if he just kept talking the words would somehow soften. "It's been a few months, we're keeping it. And before you ask, yes, your mom and dad know. We had a family meeting yesterday." He said it the way you'd report a weather forecast. Flat, fat, rehearsed. I finally found my voice. "Who was at this meeting?" "Me, Ren, your mom, your dad." "Not me, no." I walked into the living room and called my mother. Derek trailed behind me, hovering in the doorway, not sure if he should follow or vanish. She picked up on the second ring, voice warm and ordinary, asking how the inspection went. I just said, "I know," and let the silence do the rest. Her tone shifted instantly. "Careful the way you talk to someone standing near a ledge." "Okay. Listen, we need to handle this as a family. These things happen. It's complicated, but blood is blood. We can't let this tear everyone apart." I could hear my father somewhere behind her. "Tell her we'll all sit down, figure it out together." "Together?" I repeated. "The four of you already figured it out, without me." "That's not. We were trying to think about what's best for everyone." "Everyone," I said. I heard exactly what she didn't say. Everyone except me. I hung up. Derek was watching me from the doorway like he was waiting for the explosion. 6 years of marriage. A sister I'd shared a bedroom with until I was 14. Parents who used to call me their steady one, their rock. Turns out you can spend your whole life surrounded by people and still not know a single one of them. "Nothing," I said, and walked past him into the bedroom. I pulled my old hockey bag down from the closet shelf and started packing. Clothes, laptop, charger, the folder with our financial documents, my passport. My hands were steady the entire time, which surprised me more than anything else that night. "What are you doing?" His voice climbed. "We have to talk about this, you can't just." I zipped the bag. He grabbed my wrist. "Please, say something, scream at me, call me a coward, just give me something." He wanted a reaction, they all did. They wanted me furious or shattered, something they could manage, something that gave them a role to play. The patient husband, the apologetic family. They wanted a seat at a table where they'd already decided, without me, what the outcome would be. I pulled my arm free and picked up my keys. "Wait, where are you going?" I didn't answer. I got in the car, and as I backed out of the driveway I saw him in the doorway with his phone already against his ear. By the time I hit the highway my phone was lighting up nonstop. "Mom, Dad. Ren. Derek again." I declined everyone. Watched their names cycle through the screen like a slot machine that kept landing on nothing. I drove for 20 minutes with no destination, pulled into a Tim Hortons parking lot off Deerfoot, and just sat there with the engine running while the phone kept buzzing in the cup holder. 14 missed calls, voicemails stacking up, texts, "Please call me back, we're family. Don't do anything you'll regret." Family. I almost laughed. I opened my contacts and started blocking. Mom, Dad, Ren, Derek, aunts, uncles, the cousins who'd take their side, the fast reference who'd try to play mediator. My thumb moved like it had a mind of its own. By the time I finished, the silence in the car was so complete it felt like a held breath. Then I called my carrier. Sat through the menu, finally got a person. "I need a new number tonight. May I ask why, sir?" "No." A pause. "Then, I can have that processed. New number active within 2 hours." I thanked her, hung up and drove to an extended stay place near the airport. Paid cash for a week. The clerk barely looked up. Room 214. Bad art on the walls, a bedspread that had seen better decades. I sat on the edge of that bed and watched the clock count down to a number that wasn't mine yet. I didn't sleep. I made lists instead. The next morning I called my office. I need personal leave. I've got 3 weeks banked. My manager asked if everything was okay. Family situation, I said, which was the truest lie I'd ever told. I went to the bank, asked for a specialist instead of a teller, explained I needed to open an individual account and split the joint one. She asked gently if my spouse knew. We're separating, I'm taking exactly half. It's legal. She nodded and printed the forms. By noon, half our savings sat somewhere only I could touch, and my paycheck was rerouted clean. Insurance next. Pulled Derek off the health plan, the car policy, all of it effective immediately. No waiting for the divorce to finalize. Thence I sat in the parking lot and pulled up the property records on my phone. The house in Bridgeland. I'd bought it 3 years before the wedding. Refinanced after. And somehow, through nothing but procrastination, never gotten around to adding his name. Lucky, in the most exhausting sense of the word. I found a femme lawyer downtown. The kind with a corner office and a view of the river. The kind who handles people who don't want a conversation, just an outcome. She listened to the whole thing without interrupting once. What do you want? She finally asked. Divorce. Clean, he gets what he's legally owed, which is nothing. House stays mine. No spousal support, no contact, everything routes through you. And your sister? Your parents? Not part of this. She made a note. This won't be cheap. I don't care. Most people want some kind of closure conversation. I don't. She looked at me for a long second, then nodded like she'd decided something. Give me 48 hours. On day 4 I was sorting through paperwork in the hotel room when my new phone buzzed. Only 3 people had that number. My manager, my lawyer, and the hotel desk. Papers are filed, she said. Process server reached him an hour ago. Divorce petition, 30-day notice to vacate. The house is legally yours. Good. He's going to want to talk to you. No, your family will try too. Send them to the paperwork. Don't engage. Understood. A pause. You're very calm about all this. I made the decision already, now I'm just executing it. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started erasing. Facebook, deleted, not deactivated. Instagram, same. The shared email account that connected me to every cousin, every old Val family friend. I changed the password to a string of nothing I'd ever remember and deleted the recovery options. Locked out forever, on purpose. Built a new email under a slightly different version of my name. 3 hours, and an entire digital trail just gone. By the second week, my old office line was getting calls. My assistant told me my sister had shown up in person, crying in the lobby, asking where I was. Tell her nothing, I said. If anyone from my family calls, give them my lawyer's number. That's all. That afternoon my lawyer called again. Your husband came by. Your sister, too, separately. Both want to talk. No. Your parents sent a formal letter requesting mediation. Divorce proceeds as filed. No mediation. Your sister mailed a letter to the office. Handwritten. 6 pages. Want me to forward it? I thought about it for exactly as long as it took to breathe in and out once shred it. Silence on the line. Then, you're serious. Completely. That same week I found a posting for a structural firm in Halifax. Different coast, different time zone, far enough that nobody would casually run into me at a Canadian Tire. I applied, interviewed over video from the hotel room, got the offer within days. I signed a lease on a 1-bedroom near the harbor, without ever setting foot in it. I packed my car on a Sunday at dawn. It's strange how little you actually need when you strip everything down to what's yours. The drive east took 4 days. Somewhere outside Thunder Bay I passed a billboard for a family steakhouse. A stock photo of 3 generations laughing around a turkey. The kind of image that's supposed to make you feel something warm. I checked the date, mid-November. Thanksgiving back home would have already happened. Christmas was coming. They'd be figuring out the seating chart, deciding how to explain the empty space at the table. I kept driving. Halifax was gray and salt-smelling and nothing like home, which was exactly the point. I started at the new firm under a slightly adjusted version of my name, same designation, same license number, nobody questioned it. My new supervisor asked why I'd relocated from across the country. Needed a change, I said, and he let it go, the way most people do once they sense a wall. I found a gym, a coffee shop that didn't oversteep its tea, and a therapist. The therapist part was my own idea, not because I was falling apart, but because I didn't trust myself not to be running on autopilot without noticing. You're very organized about all this, she said in our first session. I'm an engineer. Organizing is the job. Even with grief? Especially with grief. She asked if I was angry. I told her I felt clear, which confused her more than anger would have. She wrote something down anyway. My lawyer called every Wednesday after that, like clockwork. Updates delivered the way you'd report weather for a city you no longer lived in. Week 3. Derek hired a lawyer, wanted to discuss settlement. There's nothing to settle, I said. Week 5. My parents hired their own lawyer. Requested formal family mediation. No. My sister sent a second letter. Longer than the first. Shred it. Week 6. They were calling my old office daily. My mother apparently inconsolable. I listened to all of it the way you listen to a forecast for a place you'll never visit again. Christmas came. My therapist asked if I had plans. Volunteering at the shelter downtown. Then take out and the Leafs game, probably. Your family will expect you. They can expect whatever they want. Does that bother you? No. She waited for more. I didn't give her any. I served meals at a shelter from 6 in the morning until early afternoon. No performance in it, just hunger and gratitude. The cleanest transaction I'd had with another human being in months. Got Vietnamese takeout. On the way back to my apartment, watched hockey, fell asleep on the couch before the third period ended. It was without exaggeration, one of the better Christmases of my adult life. I didn't hear how their holiday went until 3 months later, at a coffee shop near the harbor, when someone said my name and I had to look twice before I placed him. Connor, a guy from my undergrad program I hadn't seen in 5 years, in town for a work conference. You just vanished, he said, sitting down without asking. Like, completely nobody back home knows where you are. I know. Your mom is a wreck, man. I saw her at Christmas, she set a place at the table for you. Your dad barely said 2 words all night. Okay, that's it? Okay? What do you want me to say? I don't know, something. They're your family. I told him the truth, because lying about it felt like more effort than it was worth. My sister, my husband, the meeting I wasn't invited to. His face went through several expressions before landing on something like disbelief. That's Jesus. It's okay. That's awful, but you didn't even try to talk it out? What was there to talk out? They already decided. Still, family's family. Is it? He didn't have an answer for that. Your sister lost her job, by the way. He added eventually, something about it getting out at her work, people talking. Good for people, I said. Doesn't that matter to you at all? I don't think about it enough to care. He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. This is cold, if you say so. Are you ever coming back? No. Something in his expression shifted from confused to genuinely unsettled, like he'd just realized he was sitting across from someone capable of a kind of stillness he didn't recognize. He left not long after, texted me 20 minutes later from a number I didn't know. He'd found my new job on LinkedIn. Your mom can't sleep. Your dad's aged 10 years. Don't you feel anything? I typed back, I feel fine. That's the whole point. Then I blocked the number anyway. My lawyer's Wednesday call that week came with an update I hadn't asked for. Your sister had the baby. A girl. I'm legally obligated to tell you. Since you were still married at conception, I'm not on the certificate, correct? Derek's listed as the father. Then it's not relevant to me. There's a photo attached. If you want it, shred it. A pause. You're aware this makes you look cold? Yes. I wasn't going to say cold. I am though. I'm just also done. She sighed, the closest thing to commentary she ever allowed herself, and moved into the next item. That night in therapy I told my counselor about Connor. About the word cold following me around like a smell I couldn't wash off. What do you think, she asked. I think family's a choice. They made theirs. I made mine. Regrets? I actually thought about it. Only that I didn't see who they were sooner. She closed her notebook. I think we can move to monthly sessions. You're not running from this, you're moving towards something. Spring brought a promotion, senior structural lead, a real team under me, a corner office that actually had a window. I celebrated by taking myself out to a steakhouse on the waterfront, alone, and it didn't feel sad. It felt earned. I met Analgesi in April, at a public lecture on harbor infrastructure of all things. She did heritage restoration work, old buildings, the kind of patience-heavy job that makes you a careful listener. We got coffee after. On our third date she asked why I'd moved across the entire country, and I told her everything. The affair, the baby, the meeting I wasn't invited to, the exit. She didn't flinch. Do you think you'll ever go back? No. Do you hate them? No, I just don't have room for them anymore. She nodded like that made complete sense, which it hadn't to anyone else. Connor emailed again in the fall. I'd never gotten around to blocking the address. Your dad had a heart scare. Minor, but still, your mom's on medication now. They look 10 years older. Also, your sister and Derek are basically falling apart, fighting constantly, baby crying all the time. Thought you should know. I read it once and felt the particular nothing that had become familiar by then. My sister had built her bed. The fact that it was uncomfortable wasn't cruelty on my part. It was just consequence doing its job. By the 1-year mark I sat in my apartment with coffee and did the inventory. A year ago, I'd found out my entire family had voted me expendable in a meeting I wasn't even told about. Now I had a woman I was serious about, a promotion, a city full of people who'd never known the old version of me. The trade, on balance, was not close. Annalise came by that evening. I told her what day it was. How do you feel? Good. Really good. No regrets? Only that I didn't see them clearly sooner. She kissed me. You're sort of terrifying, you know that? I didn't have a response for that one either, so I just held on to her. The updates from Connor kept arriving every few months, unasked for, unanswered but read. My sister telling people her husband had abandoned her, conveniently leaving out the part about whose baby it actually was. My parents aging visibly, My father on 3 different medications. My mother apparently still dialing a number that hadn't worked in over a year, getting the same recorded message every single time. In September, an invitation found its way to my lawyer's office. My cousin Lachlan, always one of the decent ones, getting married. +1 included. My mother would be there, obviously. Do you want this? My lawyer asked. Send a gift card. No return address. I'm not attending. Connor's recap after the wedding ran longer than usual. My mother waiting near the entrance through the entire ceremony, scanning every face that came through the door. Derek showing up uninvited and half drunk, yelling something about ingratitude before Lachlan's father walked him out. My sister crying in the bathroom. The whole extended family now fully aware of the story, the room thick with the kind of discomfort that doesn't go away by the end of the night. I read it, closed it, didn't reply. Annalise was on the couch with a book. Everything okay? Yeah, just news from home. Your old family? The only kind I had. She set the book down. You never talk about them. Not much to say. They're strangers who happen to share my blood. You really don't feel anything? No. They made their choice. I made mine. We're all just living in it now. In November I bought a ring. Simple. The kind she'd actually wear every day. And proposed on a hike out toward Peggy's Cove. No audience, no performance. Just the two of us, and the wind coming off the water. She said yes before I finished the sentence. We called her family that night. Her mother cried the good kind of tears. Her father made a joke about finally getting me locked down for good. Afterward, Annalise looked at me. Do you want to tell yours? I don't have one to tell. I have you. And them now. The wedding planning itself was easy precisely because there was no negotiating, so seating chart diplomacy, no explaining empty chairs. Small ceremony. Her family, my coworkers, a handful of people I'd actually built something with in this new life. Her mother asked, gently, over dinner one night, if my parents would be invited. We're estranged, I said. Permanently. I'm sorry, I'm not. Nobody made it weird after that, which I appreciated more than they probably knew. By the 2-year mark I'd been promoted again. Director of Structural Engineering. For the firm's Atlantic Division. The kind of title I used to think belonged to other people. I took Annalise to dinner to celebrate. She raised her glass and said she was proud of me. I told her I couldn't have gotten there without her keeping me steady. We clinked glasses. And I looked at this woman who knew every ugly detail of where I'd come from and chose to stay anyway, and understood, clearly, that I wanted to keep her. Not in the desperate way. I'd once held onto a life that was never really mine. But in the certain way you hold on to something real. Connor's emails kept arriving, further apart now, each one a little more resigned. My sister, raising the baby mostly alone. My parents helping but everyone exhausted and tense. Derek drifting from job to job. Drinking more than he used to. My mother still, somehow obsessively trying to track down where I'd ended up. That December, my lawyer called with something heavier than usual. Your mother hired a private investigator. We shut it down legally, but she's getting desperate. How? Desperate. Desperate enough to argue she needs your location for estate purposes. It won't hold up, but she's trying. What do you recommend? Restraining order, if it escalates. Document everything. Do it. This will make any future reconciliation. There isn't going to be one. Ever. Do it. That night I told Annalise about the call. Does it worry you? No. They can know what province I'm in. They still can't reach me. I'm a ghost to them. Good, she said, because I'm not sharing you with people who threw you away. My phone rang twice that night with numbers I didn't recognize, a Halifax area code both times. I sent them straight to voicemail and didn't listen to either one. 3 years from the night I packed that hockey bag, Annalise and I got married at a small venue overlooking the water. 50 guests, every single one of them there because they wanted to be. Her father walked her down the aisle. Her mother cried again. During the vows I looked at her family in the front row. Smiling, genuine, already treating me like I'd been theirs for years. This, finally, was what the word family was supposed to feel like all along. Connor's final email arrived a few months after the wedding, stopping the updates. You clearly don't need them and honestly, I get it now. Your parents moved to a smaller place. Our dad's health never really came back. Your sister and Derek got married. Guilt wedding, everyone said, and split 8 months later. He's working retail, lives alone. She's raising the kid mostly by herself, tells people he abandoned her. Some people believe it, most don't. The kid's almost 3 now. In case you ever wondered, you probably don't. Take care of yourself. Last one from me. I read it once, closed it, said nothing. News from home? Annalise asked, watching my face. Not home, just news. Bad for them, not for me. She didn't push for details, which was exactly why it worked between us. She understood that some doors are meant to stay shut. 6 months after the wedding she got pregnant. We told her family over dinner. Her mother crying for the 3rd time that year. Her father already cracking jokes about baby-proofing. Her sister talking about the shower before dessert even arrived. Someone asked if we'd told Side. We don't speak. I simply, never. Her mother asked gently. Never. She touched my hand. Their loss. It was, I think, the exact right thing to say. 8 months into the pregnancy, I sat up late one night with my old therapy journal, a habit I'd never quite let go of, and wrote something I'd been circling for years without ever putting it into words. Revenge isn't loud. It isn't a speech where you finally tell them everything they did wrong. That kind of confrontation just hands them closure, gives them a story where they got to apologize and you got to forgive. Even if you never say the words, real consequence is quieter than that. You just stop existing to them. They wanted me to fight, to negotiate, to prove I still thought their approval was worth chasing. I didn't fight, I left. And that absence, total, permanent, unbothered, was the thing that actually broke them. They're left holding the guilt, the what-ifs. The years of dialing a number that doesn't ring anymore. I'm just living, 3 time zones away, with people who chose me on purpose. I closed the journal, looked around the apartment, ultrasound photos on the fridge, our wedding photo on the wall. Annalise's sister's birthday card still propped on the counter. Everything I'd walked away from had turned to ash a long time ago. Everything I'd built since was solid enough to stand on. She came out of the bedroom, one hand resting on her belly. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking about how different everything turned out. She sat beside me. Do you ever wonder if you made the right call? I looked at her, at the life stretched out in front of us and said, every day. And every day I know I did. She smiled, kissed my forehead. Good. Because I'm keeping you. Deal. Somewhere 3 provinces west, in a house that had gotten smaller and quieter than it used to be, a woman picked up her phone and dialed a number she still had memorized after all this time. The recording told her the way it always did that the number was no longer in service. She'd heard it so many times by now she could probably recite it along with the voice. She set the phone down. In the next room, her husband took his evening pills. Her other daughter hadn't called in weeks. Her granddaughter was asleep down the hall, in a room that had become permanent. She looked at the old photographs on the wall. The ones from before. And wondered, for the 1000th time, whether her son ever thought about any of them. She would never get to know. Back east, I turned off the lights, climbed into bed beside my wife, and fell asleep thinking about the nursery we still needed to paint, about the names we hadn't agreed on yet, about tomorrow. Never about them.